lots of you know Marc, but just so that those who maybe don't know all of his impressive details. So Marc Austin is one of Britain's most promising young athletes, and at the age of just 26, he has a clutch of impressive podiums to his name. Many will recall his bid to hang on to the Brownlee brothers during the bike section of the Commonwealth Games in 2014, held at Strathclyde Park. He was eventually dropped, but by then the Glasgow Triathlete had won the hearts of everyone watching him, especially those in his home city. 4 years later, he beat the Brownlees. At the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, Marc took bronze while the Brownlees slipped into 7th and 10th place, blaming injury. Marc described the race as the performance of his life. He's also claimed numerous junior and under 23 podiums, such as gold in the mixed relay gold in the relay at the ETU Triathlon European Champs in 2013 in Turkey, and silver at the ITU World Triathlon Grand Final in Canada in 2014. I was personally pretty thrilled when I bumped into Marc in London at the ITU Worlds in 2013. While I'd qualified to compete in the age group World Championships, Marc was racing on the elite stage, and it was really nice to see him there. Marc is a member of the UK Sport Lottery funded world-class performance squad and is currently on track to compete at the next Olympics, which is now rescheduled for 2021. So welcome, Marc. Thanks for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
So first of all, I wanted to know how you came into triathlon. Give us a bit of your background.
So I guess I just did a lot of sport growing up, predominantly football probably, and then my parents were keen sort of runners and cyclists, so did a bit of that and tried swimming, and then kind of found that I enjoyed swimming and running a lot more than football. I quite like the endurance aspect of it. And then, yeah, I guess age 10 was doing a lot of swimming and running, and then found out about aquathon when I was 11, I think. And then from then on, I just, as soon as I'd done one, I did the Stirling Aquathon 2005 when I was 11. And as soon as I'd done that, I was pretty keen on it. And yeah, I was pretty set on that being like the sport that I'd chosen. But up until then, I'd done a variety of different sports, but I was pretty sold from like the first one that I wanted to take it seriously.
And why did you like the triathlon, the three disciplines?
So well, yeah, I guess I started with aquathon, but then I think that year I did a couple of triathlons as well, or quite a few actually. I think I was at that time doing a lot of swimming like competitions, and although they were pretty fun, I didn't enjoy the competitions as much as I enjoyed the training. I think the competitions were a bit short, and like, yeah, it was a lot of hanging around for not much kind of action. Whereas aquathon was really just the amount of like different kind of variables that were there. And also I was able to use the fact that I was a good swimmer and a good runner. So.
And you came second, didn't you? Or first or second?
Second,
first?
Yeah. I thought I'd won because I crossed the line first, but then a guy who'd set off like 15 seconds behind or whatever ended up beating me. So I was a bit devastated at my first race because I was ready to like collect my winning trophy, and then my name didn't get called out. So it's pretty upset.
So you have to quickly learn the rules of when people started in their swim.
Yeah, exactly. But I was really good. And yeah, since then, I hadn't really questioned it. I just sort of kept going to more and got into the aquathon series and doing triathlon. And yeah, I just loved it from the very first one.
And did you decide you were going to pursue it professionally before Stirling Uni, or after, or during?
To be honest, I think I don't really remember a time where I've pursued anything other than being like a sportsman or sports person. I think from as young as, like, it started off, I wanted to be a footballer, and then my mum told me I wasn't good enough when I was like 6. It was just a bit harsh. Looking back, maybe she just didn't want me to be a footballer. And then I got into swimming, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll be a swimmer. And then I found triathlon, and I was like, oh no, I'll be a triathlete. And then there was never like a moment where I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. It just kind of always was that important to me.
And did your mum support your triathlon
Yeah. She always supported me, and kind of, she doesn't claim to remember that conversation, but I do. Yeah, my parents have been really good. They've been very kind of supportive, but at the same time, everything that I did was my decision. So like I've got two younger brothers, and there was one point where we were all competing, and they kind of like just didn't fancy it as much as I did, so they stopped. And there was never like a pressure of like, you must do this. It was always my decision. So, but at the same time, there's obviously a lot of dedication is required of the parent to take, or my parents had to take me all over, and yeah, it required a lot of dedication for them. But at the same time, if I raced badly, they weren't like upset. They were, you know what I mean? They just wanted me to do well for me.
And was Stirling University part of the, did you just decide on that because there's the triathlon centre there?
Yeah, their national centre was there, and at that time, when I was like 16, 17, there was quite a large group of us at the same age, all kind of planning to go. So we all went. There was probably at the time 9 or 10 of us there. So it was really a mixture of wanting to like train in the performance centre, and also wanting to train with my friends that I'd made kind of through being on the squad. So yeah, it was kind of helped by the fact that there was a large group of us that decided to do it, and yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so Marc did maths, by the way, everyone, if you want to know, he's quite clever. And so presumably you were getting coaching then, but there at the university, who coaches you now?
So yeah, I was coached by like Blair Cartmel at the like in triathlon Scotland for a number of years, and then he left in 2016, and then I kind of had no one for a wee bit, and then was sort of, I'd never really been in the position of picking a coach before, and at the moment I have a bike coach in, well, yeah, normally I have a bike coach in James McCallum. So he was I think he was the first Scottish rider to podium on the track at Commonwealth Games. I might be wrong with that, but he got a Commonwealth Games medal on the track for cycling. And then Crawford kind of helps me with everything else. So I think from a young age, I although I wasn't coaching myself, I was definitely directing my programs. So I was swimming with swim club, running with the run club, and cycling with a bike club. So it was me who was deciding what sessions I would and wouldn't go to. So although I was getting coached at all them, I was saying like, I'm going to this run session, not that swim, and that kind of thing. So I've always had a bit of a role in deciding what training I do. And I think as I've grown older, that's kind of grown. So I like to have a big impact on what training I do, but at the same time, it's really good to have like the help of Crawford, and then James's like full kind of program on the bike. So as much as I do like have a kind of big impact on what training I do, I don't just do it all myself. I've got help.
And what are you doing in lockdown? I mean, lots of us feel like, well, I suppose there's a lot of turbo maybe, and we're all staying pretty local, but there's also the aspect of motivation. I know you live in a flat with I think your middle brother, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, I do.
And so you're not surrounded by the athletes just now, and many of us might find that difficult, especially with there's no races this season.
Yeah, I think I'm in a sort of unique position in that last year I wasn't able to race because I had some like heart problems, and that kind of continued into this year. So I was essentially at the start of lockdown kind of starting from...
You're going to need to explain those heart conditions to these people, because they're going, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, well, last March I had some palpitations, and then it's just sort of been an ongoing investigation since then. It's been quite a complicated process due to the fact that I've got maybe like a slightly abnormal heart due to hours of training and stuff. So there was a lot of kind of unexplainable numbers, and like it looked like perhaps something quite bad, but then that could be explained by just having a big heart. So essentially had a year where I was just undergoing investigation. And that kind of is pretty much finished. I was supposed to have an MRI the first week of lockdown, but that got cancelled, unfortunately. But it's all kind of looking good now. But I had to have like 2 months off, really, just before lockdown. So actually, as when lockdown started, I was just able to start doing some training. So whilst everyone else was feeling pretty trapped, I was actually like pretty happy to be able to train and felt a lot more free than I had done leading in. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'd probably rather Corona wasn't here, but it's actually been quite good for me in that it's allowed me time to get back into training and stuff whilst there's no racing going on. So in terms of motivation, I haven't struggled at all because I'm just getting back into training, and my kind of aims right now is just to be race fit for September, because I think that's probably the earliest anything will be happening. So yeah, I'm really quite enjoying just being training, and obviously there's not really many distractions just now. So
what's your sort of week with training then? I know you can't swim just now, so.
Well, a normal week would be about 7 hours of swimming, and then on the bike between 14 and 20 on a big week, but somewhere in that, and then on the run like 10, like give or take, and then like 1 or 2 gym sessions, or 2 gym sessions of like, I don't know, depends how productive I am as to how long it takes. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 if there's people to chat to. But yeah, that's a normal week. Obviously at the moment not swimming, but I'm trying to do a bit more gym stuff, a bit more upper body stuff like every day to like make up for that. But yeah, I'm yeah, as I say, I'm in a different position to most people, where I kind of have a lot of stuff to do in the lockdown in terms of training, and it's actually allowed me the time to do things properly. You know, I think if at the moment there was loads of racing going on, I would probably struggle to be patient with my training, which is obviously required after you've had a couple of months off. You know, you need to take things slow. But I would be watching the racing and thinking, oh no, I need to do like this session and that session. So it's actually good for me to just focus on myself. And I mean, obviously there's loads of Zwift races and stuff going on, but I'm not that kind of bothered that I'm missing that, to be honest.
And so before we look at your future hopes and aspirations, lots of people will want to know, just hear a little bit about that now famous race, the Commonwealth Race at Strathclyde, when you were seen by everybody racing with the Brownlee brothers, and there was such huge excitement. Tell us a little bit about how that felt.
Yeah, that was like really an amazing kind of time in my career, I would say, because I think I remember the day very well that like Glasgow got announced, and that week at training I remember seeing, like, doing a swim session and coming out, and my coach was like, oh, you know, I think you should aim to go to those like games, and that would be like a realistic aim for you. And so, you know, that was literally like a 7-year like dream to be on like the Glasgow start line. So the very fact of being there was like amazing. And then I think I got caught up in all the training going into it, being a part of like the Scottish team, and everyone was just so excited. So I was like, oh, kind of thought I was gonna get a medal, and that was like my aim going in. And then yeah, found myself in that breakaway with initially 4. There was like Scoom in there as well, but he crashed. And then yeah, it was just quite a like in at the deep end type of experience. That I hadn't really done much racing with either of them, and hadn't really raced on a stage like that before. I hadn't raced the best in the world before, so it was a bit of an unknown. And then yeah, just found myself in the perfect position in terms of there was no, I don't know, it was just really an amazing experience to be in front of that many people all like cheering for me. And it was pretty uncomfortable and like difficult, but it was certainly enjoyable. And
did they chat to you while you were, because I think
yeah,
I heard somebody say that they were giving you a bit of chat when you were cycling with them.
Yeah, yeah. Johnny was quite encouraging, and Alastair was like a bit more forceful. But that's like fair enough. I think, yeah, I was pretty intimidated by them at that point because they were obviously like the two biggest names in sport, and like I'd watched them at 2012 from the sidelines in absolute kind of adoration of just what they were capable of, and so like I just wanted to pull my weight as much as I could. So I was like doing anything I could to be on the front, but I just physically couldn't. And then they started like attacking me, and instead of sort of, I should have just sat in after they did that, but then I was like, oh no, I'll kind of prove to them that I can like pull another turn. And as soon as I pulled another turn, they just attacked straight away, and I like just couldn't follow. And the rest of the race was a bit of more suffering, but a bit at a slower pace. But nah, that was
I know
really
I remember us all watching you, just
Mhm.
absolutely stunned. It was a brilliant thing to see. I actually got to be there. It was incredible.
Yeah. What that I think that was what made it so special, was that I'd done a lot of racing, but to be able to race in front of so many people who like knew me along the way, and kind of yeah, I've definitely had a lot of help from a lot of different people, and that was the one time that everyone was like there watching, and so it was really nice to kind of I guess pay back a lot of people that had helped me through like this one kind of performance. Um, yeah, there was definitely like a lot of people got really, or a lot of people that had helped me along the way were really excited by that race, and so it just felt really nice to be able to like give people that. And yeah, I was actually a bit disappointed when I finished because I'd ran so slow, and I felt like I'd sort of not done myself proud in terms of the overall performance. But then I think, yeah, the reaction of people changed my mind, and it sort of made me realize like what the best way to race is just like going all in. I mean, obviously there is some races where you need to just like chase the top 10 if you want to like get points or get the money, but if everyone's watching, it's really, people just love to see you going for it. And yeah, I definitely try to, on the big days, just race as close to that kind of ethos as I can. Yeah.
And then 4 years on, you take bronze medal at the Gold Coast in Australia,
Yeah.
and the Brownlee brothers come in 7th and 10th. Now they say obviously they were injured, but we're all there on the day. You've got to be there. So how did that feel?
Yeah, that was good. I think it was nice to like put the whole getting dropped by the Brownlees thing to bed, because I felt like I had done a lot more from after 2014. I felt like I was a much better athlete than I was then. But then people were still outside of the sport were just like, yeah, all that time you got dropped by the Brownlees. So it was quite nice that that wasn't like the tagline of myself in triathlon anymore. So
You
that was good.
described that as the race of performance of your life. So why,
Yeah, I think
obviously
so. I
you
think,
got.
well, because it's one of those ones where like all the chips were down, like everyone wanted to do well at that. That was like the biggest race that I've done, and I just fully like did what I was capable of on that day. Like I swam as well as I could, and as like smart as I was really conservative, and the same on the bike where I rode well but I didn't do too much, um, and then on the run I just timed it well and managed to like absolutely kind of empty everything, and it was close as well. It wasn't like it was an easy sort of medal where I had like 10 seconds to spare. It was really like all the way to the line, like the margins counted. So to me it just was like yeah, it was a really satisfying feeling finishing, because I know that if I'd gone like 99% of my effort level on the run, then I wouldn't have got a medal. Like, so I could have crossed the line knackered and sort of told myself that I'd try as hard, but finished in fifth. It required like me to fully like do empty everything that I had to get it. So that makes it to me more made it more special. And then also, it was just a like one of those like days where like an outer body sort of thing where I didn't really realize I'd finished third when I crossed the line because I was just so like in the zone. And I think those are the it's the same for everyone. Those are the days that you train for, is those like absolute perfect where everything just feels great and you're just able to go as hard as you can for an hour because you've trained so hard, so your body's ready for it. So
for some of us, it takes a little longer than an hour.
Yeah.
And did the Brownlee brothers speak to you after that, or say anything about the race?
No, they are. I mean, even after 2014, Alastair was like one of the first people to come up and shake my hand and say that was really, even though he'd been calling me all sorts on the bike, he came up and said that was amazing. That was an amazing effort. So, and it was the same after 2018. Like he came and found me in the village that night and got me a drink. And they're definitely. I think I'm fine with them. They've definitely got a few enemies, but I don't really have many problems with them. They've always been decent enough to me, so yeah.
And tell us about the Olympics. So I mean, if it had been this year, that could have been tricky.
Yeah, this year I wouldn't have gone for sure, just because of the like health complications, I guess is what you would call it. But I'm pretty excited that I have a chance to do that, because that was really really like frustrating to miss that, and I felt like it was at the right time in my career after obviously 2018. I just felt like I was on the up really and had kind of figured out how to prepare for these like big races, because the earlier parts of like sort of between the age of 18 and 22, 23, I definitely made a lot of mistakes in preparing for stuff, and just learned a lot about what my body can and can't handle and what does work for it and what doesn't. So I think it was really frustrating last year because I felt like I'd finally sort of found a groove and a system that like worked for me. So I'm just really keen to get back to that and just give myself the chance of doing it. And like those kind of like, obviously I've only been to the Commonwealth Games, but those are definitely, those 2 days have been the most enjoyable that I've had in sport, and preparing for those as well. It's not just the day, it's like the months leading in are more enjoyable for me as well. I really enjoy the idea of like preparing for this like one big massive day and massive occasion. So I'm just keen to try and like do that again. That's why that's my favorite thing about the sport at the moment. So,
and Vicky's asking and whether you actually get paid at all because your house is so dark.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God he's got money to pay for the electricity.
Yeah, I was using the sunlight, but it's gone down.
So actually, Marc does get a salary. He's allowed to be full. He doesn't have to do anything other than do his sport. Anyway, so let's open the questions up. I hope that's given you a good insight into one young, amazing athlete.
I'll just unmute everyone, but I have to warn you, Alan Anderson is here. Okay. So.
Oh God, right.
Tell him to raise his hand.
Vicky, what do you want to ask?
Oh, I was saying tell everybody to raise their hand if they want to ask a question.
Yes. Okay. Good point. I'll put it back onto the thing. Right. Anybody want to go first?
Can I?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Alan, you must go first.
Well, actually, it ties in quite nicely with the last comment there about finances. Triathlon Scotland has all changed at the top with a new CEO looking to be appointed, and arguably Marc is, from a funding point of view, the most successful Scottish triathlete, in that he's the only Scottish triathlete who's ever won a medal at a multi-discipline games. So my query is, what is it you're looking for from whoever the new CEO is, and how do you think things can be changed within triathlon for the elite for elite athletes.
Yeah, I would like to see more less of a like small country mentality of like mediocrity just like being accepted. I think what we really had that was good before 2014 was a good like kind of head coach in Chris Foley, and it wasn't necessarily his sort of exact coaching technique or the sessions that he prescribed that was good about him. It was just he wanted us to strive to be like the best like in the world, and he himself wanted to provide the best support for us that he could, and I really enjoyed that aspect of being part of that group, was that we all kind of felt like we had the ability to be the best in the world. I would like someone that shares that mindset of like, just because we're Scottish doesn't mean that we have to be average. And all it takes is one person to initiate that culture. Like if you look at British cycling and Dave Brailsford, he's like the one guy that just kind of stepped in and completely changed everything with them. And it is really just a mindset of like what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, and what it is like we are actually trying to do here. Whereas I felt like the last few years, certainly leading into Gold Coast, it was all like everything I did was just self-driven, and there was no one certainly from Triathlon Scotland that was like really kind of stood there saying like, yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that. It was all from myself. So yeah, that's what I would like to see change. And I think that's what people would, that's what inspires people the most. It's not necessarily like being the best in the world. It's the desire to be the best in the world. I think like Laura Muir is quite a good example of that. I think the way she races is to win like world titles, and she's perhaps kind of tripped herself up a couple of times in terms of getting a medal because she's just gone all in for the win. But then those are that performances like that, or like getting 5th place and going for the win. If you watch it, it's almost more impactful than just hanging on for a 3rd. So I think if the organisation is going to do what they are supposed to do, which is inspire people, then that's the kind of outlook that the performance programme should have.
Good
Thank
answer.
you.
Any other questions? Vicky?
Oh, it's okay. Go for ask the O'Briens. I was typing one there. Ask Mr. O'Brien.
The O'Briens?
Master O'Brien.
Master.
Like see, like if you made any like mistakes, like what would you change if you could like go back and do it again?
I think I would probably focus more on myself, and obviously it's good to take inspiration from like people around you or people above you. So I definitely used to look a lot into what other athletes were doing, like so the Brownlees and like Gomez, and just seeing what training that they did to get them to the level that they were at. But then I kind of just tried to like copy that almost a bit too much, and was like, right, if they're doing this many hours a week, then if I do anything less than that, then I'm not going to beat them. So I need to do more, rather than just saying like that's what I'm aiming for. But just because they're doing that now doesn't mean I need to do that now. So I think I used to just get a bit like obsessive with the amount of training that I could do, and I almost saw that as like the competition was like how many sessions can I do, and that's what's going to make me better. Whereas now I focus a lot more on like I know exactly what every session's doing for me, and I don't really care about what other people are doing. I mean, obviously I'm aware of like what people are up to, but it doesn't impact me and my training unless I see something that I think maybe I could implement, and then I'll have a discussion with someone about, or like with Crawford or with like a sports scientist or whatever, about like how I can implement that into my training, and they will give me an answer whether it's possible or not. But I think but that's just like part of growing up. It's not necessarily that I think I regret like doing those things, because it made me realize for myself, and now I believe like all in what I'm doing, as opposed to just kind of taking someone else's word for it. So I think learning by experience is a good tool, but I maybe could have, like, if I'd learned like a year or two earlier, it would have made a difference. But things just play.
You're still very young. We would say.
Yeah.
Vicky, Alan's laughing. Is that you laughing at us old people, Alan?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Vicky, what did you want to ask?
So I've typed out there, you know, there's the performance coaching role at Triathlon Scotland is obviously back up on the agenda after the recent debacle with the head coach. And what type of character and person would an athlete like you be looking for in that role? What is it that for you makes the coach the right coach or a good coach? Or, you know, you referenced Chris Foley, for example.
Yeah, I think it's just for me, like I've definitely had a lot of really good relationships with coaches along the way, and for me it's just the like enthusiasm is number one. Like if you can tell that they care about your performance, probably not as much as you, but like close to as much as you, then like that you don't want to. That's almost like one other person that's dependent on you as opposed to yourself. So when you are doing the session, like that's another person that you don't want to let down. So obviously there's like a lot of kind of mind games in training and racing, and I feel like your coach is someone that you should kind of want to impress a little bit, and yeah, just someone that you can talk to honestly with as well. Like I think if you're worried about offending them by questioning anything, then it's probably not the right person to be working with. I don't think. I think they have to be as accountable to their own actions as you are to yours. Like if you like perform badly in a session, then they should be able to ask questions why, and the same like both ways. If there's something that they're doing for you that you don't quite agree with, or that you think isn't done that well, then you should feel like you can say that and have a discussion about it. So to me, those are the two most important, is like being able to criticize each other, and like yeah, the enthusiasm and the will to like your goals are aligned. So I think in terms of bad experiences I've had, I think it's when the coach is in it for themselves and not for your performance, and then it's quite easy to tell if that's the case or not. But yeah, like everyone that I have just now around me is really just, I can tell, wants me to succeed. And
you need to say nice things because Crawford's in the meeting.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like I think Crawford and James, I can tell when I meet with them that they're not really looking for anything. Obviously, there's things that my success will do for them as well, but they like care about me as like a person. So they want me to do well because they want me as a person to succeed. There's more to me than just like, and I'm not just like a number or an athlete to them. So I think that's when you're gonna get the most out of an athlete. And the same for an athlete with a coach. You have to care about them as a person as well, and you'll get more out of them. So yeah.
Anyone else got a question? I see. Anyone else? I wanted to know if there's a bit of competition going on behind the scenes between the professional athletes in lockdown, like sort of secret training type things.
Probably, yeah. I think it is like another chance to show how much you want it, because training's like, it's less than ideal at the moment. You know, you can't train with like your normal group, you can't train with your coach, so it's a chance to show like how much like I can do it on my own without any external like simulation or motivation. So I think there's a competition in that regard, but I don't know. I haven't really got caught up in any of the challenges of how many hours can I spend on Zwift sort of thing. But yeah.
Sean, President.
So last week, Mark, we had someone on here as well, Bruce, who went to Kona. He's an old has-been. He's not a young man like you, but
yeah.
Would you like to go to Kona one day? Is that on the wish list or something?
Yeah, I think until 2017 when Dave first got a medal. Until then, I wasn't really interested in it. It never appealed to me whatsoever. I was just like, it's just not something that I want to, like, I don't know. I just didn't really have a connection with it at all. But then seeing Dave do that and then actually taking the time to watch it, and over the last couple of years, I've spent time around more people that do it. And I watched an Ironman last year for the first time as well in Vitoria, and I think once you've seen one, you sort of understand like what the hype's about. But I had never watched one before or really been around one, so yeah, I was just focused on the ITU. Whereas now that I've been exposed to it a bit more, I'm definitely pretty keen. And it's a pretty seems like a pretty horrific test of mental stamina, that race. So I think that's as well like what appeals to most endurance athletes, like how much can I like spend time in an uncomfortable position.
But also it was actually revealed by Bruce's daughter that it's kind of pretty selfish. Yeah.
Kona.
Yeah, because when he was being interviewed, and he's like, he's a dad, he's got a job, full-time job, and he was saying, oh no, I really helped around the house and I was cooking meals, and then his daughter came on and went, nah, he was just on the turbo and cooking his own meals. So the truth was revealed.
Yeah.
Do you do anything outside of, I mean, obviously you must do stuff around other than training. What sort of things do you enjoy?
I find it quite hard to find enjoyable activities that aren't like exercise related. So yeah, I guess to get away from it, I just like to do a bit of like mountain biking and hill running, and I've got a lot of friends that do that kind of thing. So that's obviously kind of related to triathlon, but it's completely different as well. And I find it a good way to switch off. But like in a normal week, I usually have a bit of an easier day on a Friday, and I go to the Western Baths on a Friday evening with my brothers and a few friends, and we go on the trapeze. So that's like my switch off on a normal training week. But in terms of like going on holiday or whatever, I would always just like hill running and mountain biking and stuff's my choice for that.
And you live with Jack, don't you? Your middle brother.
I live with my middle brother, yeah.
Who I can only remember as being the juggler who my daughter was totally and utterly infatuated with.
TMI.
God, she would kill me for remembering this, but it was when we all happened to be in Club La Santa, and she would have been about 10 or something, and Jack was about, I mean, I don't know, Jack's about 24 now.
Yeah.
And Havana is 21 now, so 3 years difference. And so she was in awe of him. He was kind of doing this juggling thing, and she just wanted to sit on his lap and look up into his face. It was the most embarrassing and excruciating thing for a parent. But and now she would be horribly embarrassed, actually.
She will be now.
Yeah.
Aye.
I remember that. He was really good at doing juggling acts, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's the creative one.
Yeah.
Of the family.
Any other questions? I can't see.
Yeah, can I, if no one else is jumping in, Jimmy Mack versus Crawford White. Who's the better coach and who's the better athlete?
Was that Alan?
Yeah.
They're
I
both
think
brilliant.
they're both very different. Crawford's very like in terms of with me, Crawford's very hands-on, and like I see him most days normally, and he's just like there for me when I need a hand, and does a lot of kind of boring jobs around me, which I'm pretty appreciative of. Crawford's definitely like more of a been there more for me, whereas Jimmy Mac's just like someone that I just wanted a bike coach, someone who rides a bike, and I'm also he's a quite a slightly intimidating character, and I quite like that in a coach as well. So I like that. But then yeah, Crawford's more of who I would communicate more with and ask questions of, etc. Feel more comfortable. In terms of the athlete, I think no disrespect, Crawford's more well-rounded. Crawford's more well-rounded. He's got full sports, whereas I doubt like James can swim or run. So
There he is.
What do you mean? What do you mean that Jimmy's intimidating? I can think of a lot of adjectives for Jimmy, but intimidating is never one that I've put towards him. So, is he just a different person when he's coaching?
I don't know. I think he's just, for me, he's got like a bit of an aura around him, and I think it's just because of his like Commonwealth medal, his reputation as a cyclist. I know his reputation as a cyclist was a bit of a hard man and stuff. So I just see him as that, and yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It's just like quite like that in a coach.
I think did he not quite famously ride from Edinburgh to Glasgow to do a race, win the race, and ride back or something like that?
Yeah. That's typical Jimmy behaviour. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
Yeah. And what is you know, in terms of looking towards the Olympics? So obviously you'll be looking at all three disciplines. Which one do you think that you're going to be able to make the best gains in?
I'm definitely like a naturally quite a good swimmer. Just having done a lot of it from a young age, I've just got quite a big base in swimming. So that's like, if you're a good swimmer, you just have a good chance of being in that breakaway, which just heightens your chances of performing well. So I think that would be like always my ticket to a good result is swimming well and being in the front group of hopefully a select few. But yeah, that race is like, well, I watched it last year, the Tokyo Test event, and it's an interesting one because the run, although it probably looks fast, is quite slow because of the heat. So it's like a real war of patience and like not going too hard too soon. I don't know, it'll be different to any other race. So quite well, let's see what happens, but it's quite hard to predict right now. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else got a question?
Fiona, I can. Hi, Marc.
Hi.
Not too difficult. The question is, what's your approach to your training when you get normal days and you just don't feel on the ball? When you're a bit tired, or do you persevere with it? Do you knock the pace off what your schedule was? Do you think you somehow get bunts out of pushing on with it and come out the other end?
I think it's like really those are like the difficult decisions to make, because obviously sometimes the right decision is to like stop and rest, but that's more often than not you've got to, it'll just be like a day that you're, for whatever reason, you're not really feeling it. I think having a routine is number one, like to coming through that, where you know that you have to do it. That's kind of my outlook to it, is that there's no option of not doing it, really. So you might put it off for a bit, but it just has to be done. And you might go a bit slower or be a bit slower, but it's always better to just get it done. And normally it's, once you're doing it, it's fine. It's always just that like initial like 15 minutes to half hour of training or of the day that's grim, and then once you're through that, you're close to doing it. But I think when I'm feeling like that, I actually get a bit of a kick out of the fact that I'm like that tired or whatever, and that kind of makes me I don't know, that motivates me a bit more, because then I feel like I'm making the gains that I need to do. So I think when I get really tired in training, almost like, obviously it is harder and it's less enjoyable, but at the same time, those are the days that are going to have more of an impact than when you're just feeling really good and everything's easy. So I kind of try to look at it like that. But no, for sure, everyone has days where you just like don't want to do it. But I think number one is just a routine, and you just have to follow it. And also, you know that if you don't do it, not doing it's always worse than doing it as well. Like, the end result of not doing it is always a regrettable decision.
Marc, are you sort of get up and get on with it early, or are you midday, or are you like leave it till the last moment evening?
We don't really have much of a choice, because of like we train in group sessions. So normally we'll swim quite early, and then the day just kind of goes on from there. But I prefer to have training finished like fairly early if I can. So like at the moment, I just wake up at pretty much every day, just go running at like 7:30, just because I don't have a might as well. And I like just getting back quite early, having done something, and then I feel like it just starts you off on a good track. But yeah, we don't really have a choice of when we train. We just go with when the sessions are, which is normally quite early, but I don't mind that.
Good. Any other questions, people? Probably going to need to let Marc go to his bed soon.
Yeah.
He's up that early, 7:30 for a run. Holy shit.
Can
Not
I
in
just
lockdown.
I just say thanks very much, Marc. That was really exciting, actually, and I don't say many things are exciting, so not known for my enthusiasm, but that was really exciting to hear you talking about it, and it was really entertaining as well.
We also, all of us remember, don't we? I mean, that day at Strathclyde Park, if we were lucky enough to be there, which I was there with my daughter, and I remember just this absolute thrill of watching you. It was amazing. Yeah,
I was working with Marc's mum on the, I think we were on the run bit, but it was kind of where the big course was, and we were, your mum got the afternoon off as well. She didn't have to go and do her whatever she had to do. So
she was with Daley Thompson, I think.
Oh.
No, she was immediately below me. She was stood next to Prince Edward and his missus, watching the race, and the BBC camera crew came running across the balcony, and Edward thought it was for him, but it was Radio 5 Live coming to speak to his mum, because I'd pointed out her mum was down there, and Edward was like, "Oh yeah," and then we were like, "No, we want to speak to Mrs. Austin," and it was a nice moment to see Edward put in his place.
Good.
I dug out a picture that I'd taken on the day, and I tried to stick it behind me.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good picture. Yeah, you must have had a good position.
Yeah, it was a nice spot we were in, just right on that corner, so you get the perspective. Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was really thrilling. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the kind words.
Oh, thanks, Marc. Real interesting.
Lockdown boost.
No, but I don't know who we'll have. Don't know who we'll have next week though. You've totally ruined it for them. So
I think we need a lady of some kind now.
Yeah, lady would be good. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, Beth Potter, is she back at home? And where is she, or is she stayed down south?
She's in Leeds.
Yeah, we could try for her.
She's very good at the Christmas dance. She was. Yeah.
Best in girl. I think I've got her email actually.
I've got her details. Can we have a coach off one week between Crawford and Johnny Mac, please? Okay.
Yeah.
You can't compare coaches. It's not.
No.
Everyone's got different methods. It's like comparing political leaders.
No, I want to get
diplomatic
on a walk bike.
All right, a race.
Oh, I see. Yes, that'd be quite good, Alan. Yeah. Yep. Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Off you go, Mark, and get to bed for your early rise. Or have whether you, I don't know, do you have a drink of alcohol at all ever?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. Good. That's good. Vicky's just drank a whole bottle of white wine the whole time we've been here.
Go for it. Friday night.
Well, she's had an hour, to be fair.
Thank you very much.
We'll look out for you on Lift, so see if we can see you.
I started this week, so you can catch
Oh,
me.
right, okay, right. Well, I've done 99% of the Everest challenge to get my thingy bike. Throwing bike. I've got to do 400 metres of climbing tomorrow, and I'll be like, way. Totally pointless. Right, okay, good night, everyone. See you later.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye. 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 Bye.